Done watching a video on a baby getting a heart transplant and what the all the different teams and some of the different people that are involved in that. And before that, we watched a lady who was taking cadaver organs down to protein and then injecting new stem cells and trying to get these organs to work. So then after that, I started to ask Jeannie some questions about my transplant, certain things that happened. So we're gonna do this again, and then we're just gonna talk openly like we were before. So this is just gonna be a natural conversation. Myself, Jessica, and Jeannie, we're laying upstairs in our bed. You may hear the dogs whining in the back because Bandit's jealous because we're up here and he's not. Bandit's my one dog.
All right, just put the phone down so we don't have to look at it.
So Jean, tell me the story again. Tell me the story again of start with the BIVAD story because so I'll just give a quick little intro. My LVAD plugged to 98% in 7 days. Christmas Eve we did a declotting. It didn't work. Christmas Day, I got to spend the morning that with my family. Dr. Yao had his Christmas dinner with his family and then called into the hospital and said, okay, we got to take you back in again. I fought that a little bit, but we're going to do that in a different, I'm going to do that on my own monologue. So Dr. Yao is talking to me. The other doctor, I can't remember her name. She was awesome, but I can't remember her name. She had been in the room with me ever since Jeannie and the kids left. She informed me. So then Dr. Yao made it to the hospital. I passed the phone to Dr. Yao to talk to Jeannie. And do you remember roughly what he said to you?
That they would need to do this really serious declotting situation. So I know you passed this part already, but that's what I talked to him on the phone about. And this medicine that he was giving you is really it could have adverse effects. Like it might not work. So get your buns in here right away. Like how long can it be before you get in here? Because we need to do this right away. And I'm thinking, well, I can take 20 minutes to get here. And he's like, well, it's 20 minutes that we're giving up, so hurry up. So I got my ass in there, and I slept in a chair all night at your bedside while you had your medicine in you.
And this is for the declotting.
Declotting of that, very first LVAD.
Right.
And then...
Okay, it didn't work. It didn't even remotely closely work, in fact. In fact, it sent blood clots, which is one of the major issues with this, all over my body. So I had blood clots basically everywhere. Okay, sorry, Jean, carry on. So then the next day on Christmas Day, everybody comes in to see me. It's Christmas Day, of course. I don't remember it really that well. I do remember seeing everybody leave and thinking, I'm kind of up the creek without a paddle here. But they were all going to have Christmas dinner at my aunt's. Mm-hmm. So they were going there. She always has a fantastic Christmas dinner. So everybody went over there, and it's better anyway. They could all be around family and that which they needed. We have a very, very solid family, excellent family group. So that was a big, big help. I felt better about that, but Dr. Yao called
right during supper time.
Yeah.
Said, no, you got to come back right now. This is not working. We're going to go and operate. And if you want to see him before you go in, then you got to drive in here, get your buns in here. And so I couldn't drive. My mom drove me. And it was just me, and the kids were just like, what's going on? you know?
Well, yeah, because you got up and you're like,
I gotta go.
yeah. And was it Nan that was with us?
Yep.
Yeah, she's like, she's the one who said stuff to us because you just had like your eyes open and you're like, I have to leave. And you walked out, and then Nan came up to us. She's like, yeah, your dad, like, he's not feeling good again. We're going to go to the hospital and he's going to get another surgery. And we're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like, what do you
And
do?
you guys just left.
Must have felt, like, crazy to be just left there and, like what can we do? Like,
Yeah.
helpless, right?
Well, Tyler and I are like, oh, are we, like, we kind of looked at each other like, oh, are we coming? And then you guys walked out.
There wasn't even time for any more people to come. Like, it was just like...
So I'm going to add a quick bit to that. I wasn't going to, but I'm going to add it. Dr. Yao called the hospital, I'm going to say around 4 or 4:30. And I wish I could remember her name. She was a fellow. She had about a year left, and then she was going to be a heart surgeon. So Dr. Yao originally called me. Called the doctor. The doctor said to me, Dr. Yao is coming in. He wants to operate. Now I said to her, what are my chances? My chances are not good here. So we're probably looking at 10, 5, maybe probably under 5% of me making it through this operation. So right now I'm weak. My blood's thinned right out. I'm in big trouble. So Tyler, Jessica and Lily, no, they're not coming to the hospital because this is not probably going to end well. So conversation I had with Dr. Yao before Gene showed up. Don't ask me how I remember this. I said to him, like, what are my chances here? And he says, well, we don't need to really worry about that. We just have to do the operation. Well, can you give me 50%? He said to me, if you really need to hear 50%, I'll give you 50%. I did need to hear it. The Blue Hats came in. That's the anesthesiology team. And they did all their work. They had all their X's marked. I was in the hall, I believe, when Gene showed up.
I literally had like moments to just say, I love you, Matt, and touch your hand, and they were going to rush you into the door, and that was it. It was for me to drive there, that was the only purpose.
Yeah, because they really didn't think I was coming out. And the original conversation I was having was that I wanted to wait until midnight before the operation was started. That way I could die on Boxing Day, not die on Christmas Day. I didn't want to ruin that holiday for everybody or have them thinking about that. Yeah, well, my dad died on Christmas Day, like 20 years ago or whatever. That's where somebody told me to go into the operation. I believe that it was Jesus that said to me, you got to go in for that operation now. And then we changed that. That's a pretty personal thing to me. So it is what it is. But, okay, so let's talk about the phone call that you got in the middle of the night, Gene. And we're thinking it's like 4:30, but it's kind of...
Yeah, I can't remember if that's the heart transplant or the second surgery.
It had been the second surgery because I had to go back in.
Yeah. Jeez. They all kind of muddled together. It's so weird. But I do know that I talked to a doctor. It was the operating doctor, Yao. And just letting me know that he had put the LVAD in. He waited a little bit, and it turns out that's not going to work. And they had to reopen you up and do the RVAD. And this comes with its own set of complications. But for now that you're stable and we're happy about that, and that you're still sleeping, you're still resting. Yeah.
So that's the BIVAD. That's a BIVAD operation that we came up with. There's a big long struggle in between that BIVAD. In fact, it's 25. It's about 36 or 37 days now of a long uphill, like up a mountainside battle for the next January 30th. I have the French lady doctor come in, the fellow. She's a transplant specialist. She's not an operation, but she is a diagnostic specialist. So she's and she was smart, smart as a whip. So she was. So she comes in, informs me the reason we haven't fed you this morning is we think we've got a heart for you. Now this was kind of sparked off the video because the mom and dad are watching this. You know, they're sitting in a room and the doctor says, hey, listen, we got a heart for you. It's a really good heart. This is the same story I got. Dr. Cusimano comes in. Now, I make a phone call to Jeannie first, obviously. So I called Jeannie and I say, hey, guess what? After I texted her and said this is going to be a bad day, and all of a sudden, because I didn't sleep at all the night before, whatever.
I'm just feeling those, like you're missing the comforts, like, Jean, can you pack up some videos for me? Things that are just gonna make me comfortable. Like, I need some of my home stuff, basically. Like, so we're looking around trying to think of all the things that we can pack up and.
Oh yeah, like little teddy bears and like photos.
Video game.
Because this is getting dismal. Like I'm, not feeling happy. I just need something to perk me up. So what can we do? What can we get in here to make this better? Because I'm having a rough day.
Yeah, and to add to that too is I'm settling in for the fight. So I'm digging my heels in and I'm getting ready to push this boulder up this hill because we're now in a waiting. We've been 30 days now. I've been on and off the transplant list. I'm now on the transplant list. I'm in the BIVAD room, and I'm settling in for the fight. I'm getting ready to make sure that after the last 30 some odd day struggle, that that I'm going to make it to the end.
It's so weird though how you felt that way that morning. Like lots of people will have that feeling and want to settle in, and it's still so long after that. Like, it's so fortunate for you that, you experience that feeling where you're like, okay, this really sucks. Let's see what we can do to help try and ease that suckiness, the battle, the loneliness, the tiredness, the feeling sick. And then just that afternoon, like, how ironic is that,
Yeah, because it changed so quickly. And,
because that feeling must have gone away immediately as soon as they said, we think we got a heart for you. You probably didn't, like, those feelings that you had maybe an hour before, you probably don't even remember them, like, on that day.
Yeah, no, I didn't, because Lynn and, Lynn was there. I called Aunt Ann. I'm trying to think who else was there. One of my other cousins was there. On my Robinson side, now I can't remember. Oh, sorry. That's transplant memory. I apologize. And then Allie showed up. She's my cousin. We were all flipping out. We got in trouble. Then Jeannie and the kids showed up, and we got in trouble again, big time, because we had like 25 people in the room now at this point.
Yeah, getting too excited.
Yeah.
Getting that heart all worked out.
And I think weren't we just in one of those? I don't think it was an actual room. Wasn't that the one with like just the curtain?
Yeah, it's just glass.
No. When we got there, Dad was in that big corner room. Like,
Yeah.
It was huge.
Okay, yeah.
But it was, and there was glass there.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing, which I don't feel too bad because that guy next to me, he kept me up all night. He was having some sort of party going on in his room. But
Oh, that one. I didn't like that room.
so anyway, they so I went in for the that's a dog next door barking. So I went in at 6:30. What time did you get the call, Gene?
You went in the operation at 6:30?
Yeah, about 6:30, 7 o'clock is when I went in.
Well, they said it would be about 10 hours, that surgery. It wasn't. It was like 8 or 7.
Yeah, because I think around 2 o'clock, right? I come out. They had to pull all the hardware out. LVAD, BiVAD, defibrillator, plus all the wires and everything are all out.
Yeah, and I know I showed up there at a, an early morning kind of decent time. I think it was still dark outside, but
For some reason, I remember the breathing tube starting to come out at 8:30 in the morning.
yeah,
And they had to put me back to sleep again. I remember that.
they did put you back to sleep because you woke up too early.
I was ready to party.
Writing me little notes on a notepad.
I remember that.
Like you were totally with it. Some people don't wake up with it, but you woke up with it, but you couldn't write very good.
No, I couldn't see because my eyes were closed. I couldn't get my eyes open and concentrate.
I remember us looking at the notes too. We're like, what is he trying to write? It was like hieroglyphics or something.
We're like, you're a little bit high still or something.
Yeah, I
but-
was. I was probably still.
And it was.
But what you wanted was like a
Water.
drink of water, but you could only have a sponge on you, on
Yeah.
your mouth.
And when you're waking up out of that and you've got a breathing tube in, nobody has any understanding whatsoever of how dry your mouth is with that stupid breathing tube. Like when she pulled that breathing tube out and then she stuck that other thing down and then vacuumed out the rest of my lungs or whatever it was she was vacuuming, and I could get some liquid in my mouth, that changed everything.
You're like, heck yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, I was ready too. I was breathing on my own.
And like taking an actual breath.
Yeah.
Full breath of air.
And I was strong. I could feel that heart pounding. And I was like, wow, it's crazy. Because remember, I hadn't felt my own heartbeat in 60 days.
This was after your transplant?
Yeah. So now I was feeling my heartbeat.
Well,
I had a
because he
pulse.
was on that RVAD, and
Yeah,
the
remember
LVAD
LVAD?
didn't.
LVAD
just
doesn't
was a
beat.
turbine.
Like you don't feel the beat. I played a big trick on a bunch of medical students, but I'll tell you that story later. And then what happened was and I was standing up that day. Now I stood up that day, but it turns out that Gene had to do a little bit of coaxing, and there might even be a picture, a video of that kicking around somewhere. But Gene had to convince me. So
You're headstrong, and you're like, no, I'm not ready. Guess what, buddy? You're going to do it.
yeah, and I did it.
And you did it. And it's like, sorry, bud. Like, sorry for your luck. You think you're smarter than us right now? Like, telling us, oh, I'm tired and I know my body. Well, guess what? Today, you're not listening to your body. We're going to override that feeling.
I think after so long of being, like, not having full, like, capacity of your body, you're just like, that's how your mind is set now. You're like, when you wake up, you need 20 minutes in order to get ready to actually roll over and sit up and then get on your feet. But then it's like a restart button. You're like, oh no, I can do this. Like, I'm up and I'm ready to go.
Jumpstart you, eh?
Yeah. You know what, Jessica's right there too, because for the last month and change, when I went for a walk, I was one of the first people to start walking and doing it regularly at Toronto General with BiVAD. Was one of the things is I had to make sure the BiVAD was set up properly. Then we had to change the batteries over from the LVAD and make sure I had the battery packs on. We had to wait for everybody to get there. Then I had to stand up. Then we had to start moving. It was 5 people to go for a walk.
Yeah,
So
and slippers and a house coat.
yeah,
And
because my butt was hanging out,
Yep.
and I was cold all the time because all my blood was just flowing through the air. So through the air to the pump and then back again. So I was cold all the time. So they try and put a sweatshirt on me and all that sort of stuff. It was crazy. My feet were really fat.
He wears Superman cape.
Oh yeah, because my mom, she bought me a Superman cake.
She made it.
Yeah, she made it. She brought me a Superman cape.
And the doctors all signed it.
Yeah, everybody signed it. I even got a guy from Jerusalem to sign it, and he signed it in Hebrew, and it's awesome. It's really cool. So that was awesome, and yeah, and then before I went into surgery, there was I had the two nurses, and they took me through this great big prayer before I went in for my final surgery. That was unbelievable. Jean was there, so it was the four of us were all praying,
Holding
and
hands.
yeah, I think it was Joanne, right? Joanne was the one. She was a phenomenal nurse, and she was a devout Baptist, and she took us through this prayer, and she was awesome. She was an awesome prayer. So that all worked out really good. And yeah, the next day they came in, I was standing up, I was ready to go, I was walking the next day. 11 days I was out.
Yeah, a couple days after, what was that? Sean Rollins come for a visit, and you were walking through the stairs, and they were doing a code white or whatever it was, looking for you.
Oh yeah. I got in trouble.
Oh my.
I got in trouble a couple times for not showing up. And then there was tests. Nobody told me there was a test. I said I didn't study.
Yeah, he's running around like the Flash.
Yeah. Yeah, I got downstairs. I'm hanging out downstairs, and then code white, we're looking for this patient. I'm like, oh man, that's
Looking
me.
for Matt, badass Learman.
Yeah.
He's like trying to get some Timbits or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I was eating downstairs because Sean and Tim Martin, they gave me some money. I didn't have no money, so they gave me some money. So I started eating out of the cafeteria downstairs to get my strength up because the food in the hospital sucked really bad. So
Oh, it was so terrible.
yeah, it was terrible.
Lots of Eatos. You really liked Eatos.
Yeah, it was giving me good energy.
The noodles, those Odon noodles and beefy sauce.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good.
But I remember even like when you had all the blood in your stomach, you're like, oh, can you please go get me something sweet. Like go get me like a coffee, and I want a whole bunch of like, I want this from Tim Hortons, and then I want this from this other place, burgers and fries. I just want to eat some burgers and fries.
Yeah, as soon as I'm going to tell that blood in my stomach story.
Some other time.
That was one of the battles. So, but that Jessica brings up a good point there. So that's a little tidbit on some of the phone calls and some of the stuff like Jean said to me. I called her and she got the call in the van when I called her, and Jean said, so she got the call, and then what did you feel like after you got that call that I had a heart, Jeannie, that a heart was coming?
Oh, just really, I want to say it's like excited, but it was more like, just like a deer in headlights. Like, oh my gosh, this is happening now. Like,
Yeah.
everybody, get your stuff. Let's go in the van. Like,
I remember that. It was
And
like
just-
literally just
yeah.
pack anything you can grab.
just grab it, get in the van, and I barely remember the car ride. Like, I just remember my hands on the wheel and going forward. The
It was
weather
a
was
snowstorm, I
No.
thought.
What?
I thought it was a snowstorm that we drove through.
Oh, frick, I can't, like I said, I can't remember. I just remember my hands on the wheel and keeping my eyes open and driving forward. And, like,
Yeah.
let's get there. Like, I knew we had time because they say this process takes time, right?
Yeah.
We knew that it wasn't going to happen until the evening if it did happen because they were still looking the heart over. But
Yeah, that's right. And another thing too is this heart was coming. It was traveling, so it had a long way to come, I guess. And Dr. McDonald had proved to Trillium that I was the sickest person in Canada. I thought they said North America. The sickest person in North America at that particular point in time that could use that heart, and he won me that heart. And I'll tell you something, that heart rocks. Like I have been doing things with this heart that's just crazy. So
Other than Bruce Willis.
yeah. So so there's just a little, this sometimes I get in these conversations with my family and I ask them all these questions because there's a lot of times when I go out and I do something with my daughter, I do something with my wife, I do something with my family, I come back and I realize that none of that was going to happen unless I had that donor sign that card to give me that particular heart. And there are so many of my transplant friends, and I'm so blessed to have so many transplant friends that are not that healthy. They have struggles. They have CMV. They have hardened arteries. They have they get gout in their feet all the time. Their kidneys have shut down, so they're on dialysis, and now they're trying to get healthy again to get a kidney transplant in order to keep their heart, working well.
Financial troubles.
Yeah, financial people, they lose everything. They lose their house, they lose their business, they lose everything. There's anxiety. There's people that get hearts, and I'm really in touch with the heart people. I don't know about the other organs, so I'm not gonna say this about other organs, but I know for a fact that there are people on massive doses of antidepressants, and unfortunately, God bless them, we don't judge them, but we lose some. They take their own life because they can't handle the fact that somebody else, just the situation, what revolves around getting a heart transplant. And we go through a pretty intense screening. We have to have a lot of health checks. We get asked some real serious questions. We get asked, what happens if it's a black woman's heart that you get? What happens if it's an Indian woman, an Indian man, another race? All of these questions, and we have to answer them the right way, because you got to be willing to accept this heart. So they do the best that they can, and this is the way that they do all the screening. Is they have a team, they have a psychological team, and I've talked to that team after my transplant and told them about some of my feelings. And so when I get back from the dog park and I'm hanging out with my middle child, which is my oldest daughter.
The most unloved.
Yes, the middle child, the most unloved middle child for sure. Oh my goodness gracious. When I get back from doing something like that, or in the midst of doing something like that, these feelings always come on. I think of this picture that I have with my wife and I, and we're up in Tumbler, and we stop at they have a lot of windmills up there, but it's out in the middle of nowhere. You don't even see them. And we're out and we're looking off this point, and one of my daughters is taking our picture and looking out over this point, and her and I are looking at Tumbler's a beautiful spot. It's up in BC, northern BC there. Again, that's just another time that just didn't happen without this organ donor. And you ask yourself all these questions. So this is what we do sometimes. We sit around and we talk about different things to do with the stories, and we discuss certain things. It's very healthy for me. It makes me feel a lot better. It helps me deal with these things on a daily basis. Don't get me wrong. I love my heart. I love my life. I love everything about it. It pumps me up just thinking about it. The way I can train and the stuff that I can do, and the harvesting of animals for our freezer. It's all heavy, hard work. I can do all that. So it's all, we're always talking about certain things. And this is a talk, and this is where we're taking the page. So this is our first little recorded conversation.
I do have one thing to add before you.
And Jessica has one thing more to add before I stop this. So let's see what she has to say here.
Well, with all the stuff that you've gone through, you'd think, wow, we were off to, a really shitty start.
First swear of the pod.
First swear to podcast.
Really bad start.
From middle child that no one loves.
It's wow, we're having some bad luck. This is just not going good. But if, when you actually think of it, we going into it, we're in a good spot. You're an overall really healthy person. We're lucky mom is smart with her food and stuff like that. Because when you read the labels of foods, you think it's one thing, but it's actually another, and that could have put you in a lot worse spot than if...
Yeah, have a lot more setbacks, right?
Yeah. Because you look at something, it's 50% less salt, and you're like, wow, that's perfect. But it's still your entire daily intake. Mm-hmm. and people don't realize that, so they're off to a bad start before they even get in there. So we got pretty lucky if you think about it. And then even when you come out, you had told me one person, he was younger, maybe in his early 20s, he got out and his family, they went and had a picnic, and they got KFC for their family picnic, and he's like, I can't eat that. And he's like, they're like, oh, like, it's fine. It's like, no, I can't eat that. It's the same, like, when you have a good support system, like we did, it's really easy going in, like, it's rough during, but then when you come out, you're like, oh, this worked out so good. Yeah. Like, Dad didn't smoke, he doesn't drink, like, there's a couple of people who are like, oh, I want to have, like, can I have wine when I'm done? And like, no. It's like, oh, but, like, I need it. It's like, just take advantage of the fact that you have your life back. So it's...
Yeah, some people, their lives so, the culture or, like, the tradition is to have a wine at dinner, and it's hard to go past that.
Mm-hmm. Even if it means, like, oh, you do this and your kidneys get failed. It's like, oh, but I still want to do it. Yeah. It's just, like, the way it is. So I think we got lucky with that. That's not something we had to face afterwards.
Yeah. Or we'd have to be, like, chasing Dad down and stop him from taking drags of the old Piperoo.
Yeah. Or Dad's very consistent with taking his meds most days.
Oh, yeah. He mostly likes to go on trips and forget them.
That's valid too. But I now keep spares.
Okay.
So I'm gonna add to that. And I wanna put a real quick thing in there, because this is a different just gonna be a different podcast, but or interview, whatever we're gonna call these. I was told by Dr. Stuart Smith that if I wanted his help and I wanted to live, as of that day, I was going to stop smoking, stop drinking, no more drugs, and I was going to start to live healthy, and I was going to follow the diet as he prescribed it. I did that. And
he's like, okay.
Yeah. And now we are where we are. So there's a lot of places, a lot of pieces to the puzzle. I'm going to put all those pieces in. I suffered liver failure, or not liver failure, but a high enzyme on my liver going to get LVAD. It's a different story. Again, I almost didn't get that LVAD. I found out later, but when I went and got the biopsy and stuff, it turned out that everything was going to work out okay, and Heather pushed the button and put the LVAD in regardless. I pulled through, no big deal. From that point on, though, I've never touched a drop of alcohol again. It scares me. It terrifies me because of that liver issue. So I know that there's lots of transplants out there that have a beer and a wine and stuff like that. It's
you
cool.
Almost took a shot on my 18th birthday, though.
Yeah, I was just kidding with Jessica. And like I said, there's no judging. There's no judging on this in this group. So that's the thing. So I hope you enjoyed our first talk here. I'm not sure. Just a sec, I'll check. We're I don't know. I can't tell. The phone turned off here. I can't tell how long we are into this. I really appreciate, if you're listening to this, let me know if you like it or not, or what we can do different. We are gonna get a real microphone and all that stuff and set it up. But I just thought this was a great time to record. We love you guys, and we appreciate, everything you do for us. For anybody who's fighting or going to start fighting, we've got your back. If you ever want to talk to me, you message me, you jump on my page, My Journey to Heart Transplant. Get on that page, private message me. I'll do whatever I can. You can ask me any question. I will talk to you about anything. And if I don't know the answer, I don't know all the answers. But if I've never experienced that situation, then I'll try and put you in touch with somebody who has. Remember, it's your team. It's your transplant team that guides you to the finish line. Everybody, all us other transplants, we're all trying to help, but we do not hold an opinion compared to what your transplant team is. They are the experts. They are awesome. They're your doctors, and they will save your bacon. So you always, their advice is always over ours, but we're the personal side. We're what's my kid's gonna do, and my kid has, my kid's sad, or my kid's wondering about sports, or am I gonna be able to, I know a buddy of mine, Dale, his son asked me, was my dad gonna be able to skate with me again? Oh yeah, I was playing ringette a month after my transplant.
Oh yeah,
And,
that's another thing you should use.
So we got a lot of podcasts that we're gonna try and do. I've got a couple guys lined up, a semi-professional actor. Yeah, that's right. We got some famous people coming on here, and he's an awesome guy.
I just want to be famous.
So we thank everybody, and hey, listen, I hope you enjoyed it.
Peace.